Loneliness is the personal state of being or the personal reality of feeling unworthy and feeling unseen. And this type of severe disconnection within people feels inhuman. It separates us from our humanity and it separates us from feeling whole within ourselves. And I think the most comforting thing about loneliness is the fact that it's so unfortunately common. And a time period where I felt the most lonely is unfortunately my freshman year of college, which you guys have heard me talk about in several different videos. And during that time, the loss of having close friendships and even having some friendships of people around me, I started to create that feeling of loneliness within me. And I say create because really all it was just a state of being alone, being to yourself more, having more time to yourself. But when you have more time to yourself, eventually your brain can start to create narratives and storylines about why you're lonely and how you're lonely and why you're alone. And I think for me, and how I figured all this stuff out about loneliness is when I experienced it. And it really was just due to me growing apart from people during my freshman year. You know, as people age and get older, people are worried about their new relationships and new friendships and stuff like that. People have different goals and people are changing around you. So as they're changing, you may not fit into the person they're becoming, and vice versa for you too. And I did still have friends, but a lot of them were already preoccupied with something else. So there were days where I just didn't even have, like, no one was even inviting me to an activity anymore. People were so busy doing other things that it became days where it was just me. There were no plans. There was no activity of the day. There was no weekly thing I was doing with other people. It started to just be some days where I was just to myself. And that was uncomfortable because I hadn't experienced that in years. And being in that state of being alone manifested that feeling of loneliness because of the stories my mind started to create. My mind started to create stories of you're not even in a relationship, so you're unworthy and you're not very attractive. Maybe you should go to the gym. Maybe you should exercise more. Maybe you should gain some weight. Maybe you should do this, do that. Maybe you should have more money. Maybe you should get a job. Maybe you need a better major. I don't know, it's all these things that really don't matter, but in that moment when you're lonely, they start to matter. And I think in those moments, you have to figure out what is the truth of the situation. The feeling is creating a narrative that's not true, or the narrative is creating the feeling. And you need to figure out what is the truth. And for me, in that moment, the truth was just I was alone. And then you have to dig deeper to understand, why is it that it's a problem that I'm alone? And why am I not comfortable with myself to live in my own reality and just be to myself? And I would consider myself to be a pretty extroverted person. But when you are in that state of feeling so lonely and those constant beliefs that you're unworthy, it makes it harder for you to branch out to other people in those moments, to new people, right? You're already reaffirming the beliefs that something's wrong with you, or there is something preventing you from having that connection with other people. So it just makes it, you're already in that self-defeating mode before you even go out and try to make new friends or start dating and talking to new people. A lot of people are scared of even making a dating profile because they don't like how they look, or they don't think they're interesting, or some people just don't even know who they are. So those are the things that create that loneliness, because we start off in the state of being alone, and then it manifests the feeling of loneliness, and then the loneliness manifests negative thoughts, and then the negative thoughts become beliefs, and then the beliefs are telling us things that aren't true, therefore prevents us from having connection, but reinforces the loneliness. And you may be wondering, how do you get out of that? When you're in that space, it feels like you're stuck. So how did you get out of that feeling, Tabari? And what I would say to you is, you have to work backwards. See, you're already in a state of being alone and lonely, and now you're feeling bad about yourself. So we have to work backwards about healing the relationship you have with yourself first. And then we heal the relationship with you first, and then that will inspire you, give you the confidence to go back outside and connect with people, because you'll come from a place of worthiness. See, when you're already going out in the world and you already have the self-defeating mind, and you're already rejecting yourself, you're going to attract rejection from others. So many people wonder why they keep being rejected from other people. That's because you reject yourself. If you practice more acceptance of who you are and where you're at in life, then you will attract people that will accept who you are as well. There will always be a few people that still reject you regardless, but those aren't your people. And even if they do reject you, you already accept yourself, so it doesn't even matter to you. So you move on to the next person until eventually you meet somebody that's meant for you, right? But when it comes to working on yourself, really that's what my whole channel is about. So if you watch any of my other videos and really do the deep dive into yourself and do the work, you can reverse engineer this process and go back to a state of having connection, having friends, attracting better people into your life. And specifically to any men that's watching this video, I want to talk about the fact that vulnerability is an issue as well. You have to be vulnerable to other people. You know, like if you're not expressing your feeling of loneliness and the thoughts that you're having with other people, how can they do a better job at bridging the gap? At that time when I was by myself, I wasn't fully expressing my emotion to the people around me. Like, they knew I wasn't in a great place, but I wasn't doing a great enough job of fully letting them know that I feel this like deep, dark energy inside, and I feel terrible about myself. And you'll have those people that's meant to be in your life that will show compassion, that will bridge the gap, that will help you. But none of that can happen unless you are vulnerable and honest. And all it starts is with honesty. I notice a lot of people can even create their own loneliness in their reality because they are not being vulnerable. So when you're not vulnerable, a lot of men do this. It's like, you don't get sad and don't cry and express your real dark emotions. What you do is you get angry. And when you get angry, that's a secondary surface level emotion. What's under anger is hurt. So you're not showing what you actually are, which is hurt. You're showing anger. And when you show anger to other people, you're pushing them away. When you're petty and frustrated, arguing with your girlfriend, arguing with your boyfriend, whoever, friends, you are pushing them away. And they don't get to see that you're actually in pain. And then you wonder why you're alone, because you're coming at people in an aggressive way because you're wounded, you're hurt. And by being alone and feeling lonely and not feeling connection, you're hurt by that. So you express it through anger, and you may be self-sabotaging potential relationships that are meant to be there. So express your truth. Express the real feeling that you're having, the real pain. Tell people about that. Don't be one of those people that criticize yourself for the way you feel. We don't do it to little kids, so we shouldn't do it to ourselves. If a little kid is just feeling a big emotion, or a baby is crying, you're not always going to try to shush the baby or tell them to shut up or anything. You're going to allow them to express that emotion. We have to learn how to do that with ourselves. And even if you did have parents that didn't allow you to express it, it's time to rework and go backwards and reparent yourself. Allow yourself to express those emotions honestly. And that's how you will prevent that loneliness from even happening in the first place. And another thing that happened for me when it came to my freshman year of college that I'm thinking about is, even when I was around certain people, I would still feel that loneliness. And certain people you can be around and still feel lonely because they're not meant to be in your life. Because if they were meant to be in your life, you wouldn't feel disconnection. If you're around people and you're constantly feeling disconnection from them, and they're not even making like they're not making the conscious choice to show compassion and empathy and bridge the gap with you, they're not meant to be in your life. They may actually be reinforcing the loneliness because they're reinforcing the disconnection you have with other people. They're giving your brain examples of that. They're around you, but they may be drinking and smoking and not even focused on you and what you need and building real, genuine connection. And when you're around people like that, you're going to feel more lonely. Get around people that do more than the drinking, smoking, staying distracted. Get around people that look at you and really look at you and be like, are you okay? And really mean it when they ask you, are you okay? You need people like that in your life that are going to stop everything that's going on in the room and be like, hey, do we need to talk? Like, I don't think you're okay right now. Like, something's off. And really mean it. Not mean it because not doing it because they want some gossip or they want some tea on you or they trying to, I don't know, they're trying to get something out of you. I don't know. But get somebody that's doing it for the right reasons is what I'm saying. And that will make you feel more connected. And if you don't have anybody like that, remove them. Don't keep people just to keep people because they may be making your loneliness worse. I'd rather you just be by yourself and not have other people making you feel more lonely. So when you're doing the work of like removing those people out your life and you're doing the work of building a better relationship with yourself, what will happen is you can start to go outside and go to events and experience new people, experience new mindsets, and start to establish that connection with people again. And it's important to try to do this in real life. If you can't, you can do it through the internet, that's fine. But if you can, do it in real life. If you're in college, you have plenty of opportunity to meet some people, some new people. It may be people that you don't even expect are going to be your people, but they will be. You have to have faith that the universe is going to bring these people to you, but you really got to meet the universe halfway here. So some things that you can use is apps like Eventbrite. Eventbrite, I've used it many times for here in Michigan. I've used it when I went to Texas. I've used it in different places, and you can see what events are going on locally near you. And you can go to these events. A lot of times they be free. For me, I like events that's like yoga or meditation, sound bowls. I like a lot of spiritual self-care type of events. Find a place where there's people that are like-minded to you. So when you go there, it's not this awkwardness because you guys have a common trait. You know that if you have nothing else to talk about, you have that event that you're at to talk about. If you're going to yoga, then you know you have these people to talk about yoga with. If it's a concert, you know you have these people that like the same artist as you. And use stuff like that. Use Eventbrite. Use apps like Discord. Discord is really good for a lot of gamers. If you want to build a community there with gamers, use these platforms that will connect you with people. And even if you're introverted, still go to these events. And you may be like, okay, I'm introverted, but I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna talk, and nobody's gonna like me. That's not what's gonna happen. If you're an introvert and you go to an event where there are extroverts, they're gonna find you. They can smell you. As a person who is normally an extrovert, I have a thing where if it's somebody and I feel like they have potential to have like some good energy around me and they're an introvert, I will go up to them. I will talk to them, or I will make them included in the conversation. And that's what's going to happen for you. If you go and there's an extrovert there, they're going to find you. Or if there's a facilitator for the event, if there's a facilitator for the event, they're going to make sure you're speaking and talking and engaging, and you're a lot more interesting than you think, and people are going to find you. And as they find you, start talking to you, it's going to make you more extroverted. You just have to put yourself in the situation for that to happen. It's not going to happen from inside the house. You have to go to the events and be there physically around people and allow the universe to put those chess pieces in place for you. And if you don't remember anything else I say, the key concept really is the more you face rejection with yourself, the less you're going to have rejection when it comes to other people. The more you practice acceptance within yourself, the more acceptance you're going to get from the world. So if you want to reverse engineer the feeling of loneliness, you have to accept yourself, accept your feelings, be vulnerable with people around you about how you feel. You're not a nuisance for expressing yourself. And then that feeling of loneliness will become wholeness within yourself, healing within yourself, acceptance of yourself. And then you will eventually align with people, places, and things that are going to reinforce that new state of being. Okay? It's just the law of attraction, really. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to help you. Rewatch this video if you need to, because I know I say a lot of different things. So rewatch it if you need to. Comment and let me know your experience of being lonely. And then if there's multiple people in the comments that feel the same way, girl, your loneliness is gone, because there's other people that feel the same way as you. So therefore, you're not alone. So comment, talk to people, express to each other how you feel about this. And yeah, that's it for me. Bye.